Welcome to Everyone is the Asshole with Adrienne and Amy, where today we're going to do a public service announcement. What are we going to talk about today, Amy?
We are going to decide, is Clavicular an asshole?
I assume most of the dear listeners are probably going, it's a clavicular, like our friends did. Weren't we the only ones to know? Look at us.
We were.
Who that was.
We really were. We knew about clavicular before, like basically everybody, didn't we?
Yeah. And my knowledge is probably partly based on insecurity of getting left behind. And I never want to be a boomer. I always want to know, like, what is up and coming, the jargon.
Right. The language.
Should we do a quick bio? Here's a quick little rundown bio of Clavicular. Real name, Braden Peters, 20 years old, from Hoboken, New Jersey. He blew up on TikTok and Kick, and his whole thing is Looksmaxxing. So what is this Looksmaxxing? At its core, it's this idea that life is genuinely better when you're attractive. Which, look, every adult in the room knows that's true. We just rarely say it out loud, and never to kids. So in its tame version, it's just like hitting the gym, fixing your skin, dressing better. But in its extreme version, claviculars, we're talking steroids, surgery, injections, and something called bone smashing. Now, here's what makes him kind of interesting, to me at least. He comes from this darker corner of the internet, so the incel culture. They believe in the black pill ideology, basically the idea your looks determine everything. Pretty bleak shit, huh? But where most people in that world just kind of marinate in their misery, Clavicular goes, okay, but what if you just fixed it? What if you worked on it? That's the flip. That's the whole pitch. You can ascend. And he uses himself as the evidence. He's even built his own system. It's like he's created his own new cheat code for this new dead American dream.
I mean, he's handsome, like in a very, like
traditional.
Yeah, kind of way.
Someone that like crafted themselves like Play-Doh.
Someone that was born in a test tube. He is a Sagittarius, at 20 years old. His real name is Braden Eric Peters. Yeah, like obviously that one wasn't gonna be able to.
I mean, fair. Credit where credit due. Clavicular, cooler.
Clavicular is cooler than Braden.
Braden Peters.
Okay, so this guy is like a leader in Looksmaxxing, which is a thing online that it's a subculture of men, young men and boys, who basically think that women are a thing called hypergamous, which means that they will only have sex with the most attractive men in their vicinity.
They will only date guys more attractive than them. Never level or lower.
That's like the most important thing is like looks. And looks are objectively measurable. Like you can measure based on somebody's face measurements, like objectively whether or not they are.
Yeah, you could actually measure this because everybody has their own taste.
Yeah, it's called, you can't. You absolutely can't. But these poor kids are totally cooked. The kid who was like a COVID kid where he missed out on a lot of social interaction.
Looksmaxxing. My definition, personal, whether this is right or wrong, I think it's appearance optimization. But I think it's something that women have actually been doing.
Yes.
Forever.
Yes.
So basically saying that your looks are the most important metric for determining your life status and how people treat you. And I don't find that completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he has thrived because he's saying out loud, what like no adult is willing to admit, that like
Mhm.
your looks will get you farther in life.
Mhm.
But okay, back to his we got to go back to his little upbringing, cuz I mean, his history, while short, only at 20 years, I think there's
20 years.
key things I found that I think make him like an open book. So, one, his parents were bodybuilders. And I don't know a lot about that. Yeah, but like what I do know is your body is your career, right?
Yeah,
It's your
absolutely.
job. And it also is like perfecting that. So I think, I want to be kind, but there's probably some obsession in there,
Mm,
right?
mm.
I don't know if you're good at it. And then also you mentioned COVID. So he was in eighth and ninth grade, pivotal times, some may say. For
Man,
me, they were.
certainly.
And then that's also coincidentally the time he started steroid injections.
Yes, 14 years old, injecting himself with steroids.
Yeah. So I question, like, where were the parents in this? Because obviously now he's 20, but like 14, right?
Yeah.
And they did catch him and they did throw them away. And this sounds like such a like our typical childhood of like, oh, you found drugs, we're gonna throw them away and ground you, but never discuss like the
Right.
underlying issues.
Let's just pretend like this never happened.
Yeah. So what did you do? What did I do? If you were caught in high school, you just got better at it.
Yeah, right, totally.
And that's what he did. He's like, yeah, I just figured out how to like
Man.
something. I don't he worked around it. So that kind of opportunity, I suppose, might have been missed there.
Yeah.
And what else do we have? Also, something I found interesting, unfortunately for him, he hates sports, which, as a female that also does not particularly care about sports or people like dominating others, like I do relate with that. And I've always thought, like, fuck, I'm so glad I'm a woman
Yeah.
because it's such a male requirement, it feels
Yeah.
like.
And it's interesting, let me just say for our audience that it's what a cross for Adrienne to have to bear because to be so athletic and yet
Yes.
to hate sports like
Yes, and lesbians that, you automatically buy into like,
ooh,
automatically start talking to me about Georgia football, and I'm like,
what a fate. What
and my whole family loves sports. My dad, like, his career was kind of in sports and,
I didn't know that.
well, sporting its store, like,
I
sports
mean,
surrounding.
you're
So,
like
I
a
mean,
tragic Greek figure or
yeah,
something.
just like Clavicular.
Just like okay,
I,
Bodybuilder,
yeah, I don't want to hide my,
that was
my
that segue
personal
was
feelings.
fucking impeccable. Like, can we just like have a moment for the segue? For real though,
Segway
he
kiss.
is kind of like a tragic figure to me a little bit.
He is, but is he not also probably
A
made of
dick.
these times? Like, I don't know if I think he's made famous because
Yeah.
of, he made an opportunity out of this, but I don't think he's alone in this
Oh,
ideology
I don't think so either.
because I think he recognized, I mean, I think all of those were building. I think the bodybuilder kind of lifestyle probably helped his body dysmorphia a
Hmm.
bit, which I see it as.
Oh, he
I
for
mean,
sure has body dysmorphia, poor bastard.
and then going to extreme measures
Mhm.
are self-destructive. So like this is like a cry for help, but he's like 20, so you can't really do anything but watch it. And all of these men are captured by it because he's right. Like their prospects for life are kind of bleak.
Well, and it's like, oh, yes, that's right. And, we want to be like, oh, like this crazy kid, but he is doing what he's set out to do, which is like profiting off of this body that he has curated using his like rules of attraction. So it's like he's proving that he is right in a way, in a
He's at
twisted.
the disgusting end of the capitalist snake. And this is like what's the result like of this
My God.
system squeezing and squeezing. Now there is nothing left. So he's like You gotta make yourself look good and make content doing it. And that is where we are, the grifting economy. You are either grifting or getting grifted.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like what it's like the attention economy. You like
Hmm.
have to hold attention, and you eventually like the things that you have to do to hold attention get continue to increase in their extreme nature because
More chaotic.
yeah, people are getting more like okay, there's plenty of handsome dudes, right? But people aren't like getting really they're not getting interviewed by 60 Minutes, which I was like, you guys, what are we doing? Why are we like giving this kid so much? Because, it is like that absurd, like you're kind of saying like the snake eating itself. There is also this absurd piece of it that's like, oh my God, this kid has a platform and all of these other kids are, like are learning from him and da, da, da. And in doing that, like giving him more of a platform, making him like more legitimate, like the fact that 60 Minutes, no, there was like a 60 Minutes interview, I think, in addition to the Australian interview, and he keeps walking out of these interviews.
Yes, because, okay, I've watched a few. The Australian 60 Minutes one was hilarious to me because, arguably to me, the interviewer was more attractive. So he
Literally,
was mogging
yes.
clavicular, which vocabulary term that means to be like more attractive in the
Yes,
presence
it
of
means apparently
another dude.
the like man of the most, I don't remember what it's supposed to, but like I've seen people talking about, oh, like the Australia brought out their most handsome interviewer.
Yes, but as far as the interviewing part, he sucked to me because, like, no one's getting at the point. They're just like jaw dropped. Like, how can you be doing this to yourself? We're watching a
Right.
train wreck, but he gets frustrated because he wants them to take him seriously and
Correct.
ask about the science, pseudoscience
The science.
behind his methods. And I think people are like, no one gives a shit about that because it's pseudoscience in your fucking
Right.
hammering your face, dude.
That's right.
Like, we're trying to figure out, and they're tiptoeing around it, like, what the fuck is
What are
really
you
going
doing?
on
Yeah. And
here?
I mean, okay, I don't think that he's like an unintelligent guy. I think that, okay, by the way, on Instagram, I have a whole collection that's just called Adrienne.
I love that. Clavicular, he has just he figured out that the American dream is dead. He
Yeah.
figured out how to game it into a system to control it.
Yeah.
It's just a really destructive
Oh, it's
way that he
completely self-destructive. It's completely self-destructive, and I saw someone interview him, ask him like, basically like this is really gonna impact your body. You've been like injecting hormones into your, self since you were 14 years old. Like this is gonna have long-term impacts on your health. And he literally said, I'm not really big on longevity.
I get that feeling from him in every conversation that he is so nihilistic. He sees his life as like now. As can you imagine if someone's number one metric on measuring your life is attractiveness getting older?
Yeah.
That he's not gonna bode well
No.
psychologically doing that. So I do think he sees his life as like probably, the next decade if he can. I mean, where does this go, honestly, guys?
Well, exactly. And what I was just thinking when we were talking about it though, about, oh, he's injecting himself with hormones at 14. Young girls are like start hormonal birth control at a very, very early age.
That's why I said, I mean, you don't, well, there are some gals that looks max, but this is just like, that's
Yeah,
like their life is like
yeah.
knowing that you need to, keep your
Alter
looks
your
up. Like,
body
it's just,
in
you
order
just do.
to, yeah, yeah.
In
Okay,
order to not be cast out,
yeah.
which is what it feels like. Do you have that video?
Numbers.
Because I think he's saying something about why how this differs too from the manosphere, which is what probably people our age more so know, because starting with like Andrew Tate. But I think it's kind of it was a realization, maybe not as much about the job prospects, but
Hmm.
really about women. Just like, oh my God, now women are kind of able to take care of themselves and get to choose which one of us they want instead of needing us and taking that insecurity and turning it into hatred and just misogyny and all that.
Yes.
And so Clavicular went ahead and said, "You're missing a key point here. It's the looks, guys. Like it's also the looks." So that's what he brought to the table.
I love this whole interview, just by the
Yeah,
way.
this is the best. So this is an
Adam
interview
Friedman
with
is so
one of our kings, Adam Friedland.
king.
Play.
Play.
The situation is, I'm talking about men's issues and kind of identifying with that, and no one's been a spokesperson for, the struggle, in any meaningful way. I would say there's a lot of you're the first. Well, there's just a lot of like disinformation, I guess would be the way you could put it, or there's sort of like a key element that's always been missing from the manosphere and the red pill space, which was that looks are an extremely important thing. So, what resonates do you think with you as men? Well, because I understand it, right? It's not like I have my head super
Enough of that.
Yeah. So was he saying that Looksmaxxing like provided a way like out of the red pill manosphere, like instead of just like
Added on to it. So I think it's the manosphere. He's saying like you have it right. He talks again poorly about like women, like that mentality is fine. But what you guys also need to add is like my looks maxing the metric that is because instead of being an incel, right?
yeah,
It's
right.
stepping out of the incel category of which is involuntary celibate.
Celibate,
I
like
had a cousin ask me, I mean, can you imagine the terms? If she didn't know incel, I was like, oh boy, we got a ways to go here. That community was started before, and and I could even make the argument for, wow, entrepreneur, aren't you, Clav? Going, hey guys, y'all are just like beating off to the internet here, being women. What if we gave you a way to get back out into the world and still objectify women, but
right.
they're gonna want you.
But they're gonna want you and you're gonna well and okay, so it's interesting because like negging was a thing. Remember negging?
See, there's too much terms that like past terms get moved out of my memory space. Isn't that kind of how it sounds?
So
Making fun of someone? Neg? Okay.
like that was like kind of I guess the before the incel was like the pickup artist like
Yes.
guys with like the
Yes.
fedoras and the whole thing was to like be rude, like be rude.
Yes. Was that before Jordan Peterson or were that like the same time?
I don't remember. I think it was a little before Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
You're the
There's a
one
pipeline.
there is a total.
And there is enough of these horrible voices. Like he said, there was no one saying this in the space. And he's right. There was no one going, hey, young men, ugh, I know I'm a boomer, but your prospects
Yeah, they suck.
fucking suck for life. You have it much harder.
Yeah.
And actually, looks do matter. Don't believe, that lie. And we're going to get through this together. But no one was out there doing that. There was a
And
vacuum.
yeah. And they don't understand how to interact with other people because they didn't have that like really important sort of, part of their lives.
Sorry, global pandemic.
Global pandemic happened, but like wait a minute, there is something that I wanted to like specifically like guffaw with you about this poor bastard. I mean, and I don't necessarily feel that bad for him, okay, right? But
I
like
think he's a poor bastard still because even though he's 20, brain is not fully
Yes.
formed yet till 25. So to me, he's off the hook. I mean, not off the hook entirely,
Yeah.
because we haven't even talked about his recent charges, innocent until proven guilty.
Well, and also look at
But,
this. Look at
you know,
this. Look at this.
I think he's a product of his times.
I agree with that. I think that white dudes have become even more like the millennials were being better, and now these dudes are back on their bullshit. Let me.
Well, even the difference between so he's the young Gen Z, and then the elder Gen Z is your Nick Fuentes,
Oh,
right? So, and they were hanging out recently. So Nick Fuentes, he still wants like, power, and he still wants to be like,
yeah.
validated by, normal institutions. But
Right.
then you've got this younger Gen Z clavicular that's like, we
Chaos.
don't give a fuck
We don't give a fuck.
what you want me to be a doctor? Are you a
Yeah.
fool? That is gesturing. Okay.
This is what you're talking. This kind of encapsulates a little bit of what you're talking about here. Oh shit.
Oh, another
Election,
interview of his.
who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against JD Vance because JD Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
JD Vance is subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
So JD's very tall. JD's got to be
Well, still, I mean,
6'3".
Gavin Newsom obviously mugs him to death.
So you're a Newsom head. You prefer Newsom to the vice president.
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
Do you prefer him though?
He doesn't care.
Honestly, it's hard to say, but Newsom being that much more of a mogger and like having a president who's like fat and especially that young,
I don't think he's fat.
I would say
He's a bigger guy for sure.
it's just like it's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even be in shape, you know?
So let's say you got a vote.
Yeah, but I mean, like this next election cycle,
So, like, legitimately, and I think this is kind of when you say that, talk about like the Gen Z, the younger Gen Z that like don't really care. This
Nihilist.
to me is it. Like,
Yes.
Like, I don't like who gives a shit. Like,
He doesn't know one thing really about either of them, their thoughts, and it doesn't matter to him. That is the point that we're at here. He does, and I think I even had to question myself because I was like, if he was saying the opposite, right?
Yeah.
If he was making fun of Gavin, which I'm not even a fan of, but
Yeah.
and mogging and chatting or calling JD Vance a Chad, I think I would be way more alarmed at this. I would have been way more alarmed at this before, but of course, as you saw, like the parody, like we all fucking love this, but it's actually really alarming.
yeah.
I'm sure Michael Knowles, go fuck yourself, but I'm sure he was sitting there and like everyone that works for them were like, my God, what have we done? We pushed these little boys too far.
Breaking point.
And now, I mean, I don't even think JD Vance is fat. Is that fat?
No. Well, and like, imagine being so young, so impressionable, an age where you automatically like are so self-conscious about everything about your body. Your body's changing. You like that age is like the most like tumultuous fucking life, right?
100%.
And you're being told that the only thing that gives you any value whatsoever is your looks. Woman, that, like you said, welcome to being a woman in the world.
But they are
Unable to cope.
Where do you rank male beauty in like the kind of scale of what's important? Like
The highest.
like higher than like kindness or something?
Yeah.
Really? Why is that?
Well, because these things are going to be perceived according to the physical, right? So, like all the intangible things like, being kind or, being funny,
Yeah.
that's all going to be haloed by your attractiveness. So there's no point in really valuing them as separate things when they're all kind of interconnected.
Well, like Mother Teresa, she was a looker, but she's famous for her kindness, right? Like, she didn't need a baseline attractiveness. She was kind, right? Like,
Well, nobody gives a shit about Mother Teresa. I'm gonna be honest with
people
you.
do. No, people. She's famous. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think people are probably gonna care more about someone in Hollywood, like a Brad Pitt figure, than they would Mother Teresa.
Because he's hotter than her.
He probably mogs. Yeah.
He would mog her. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Since you've maximized your attractiveness,
Nobody gives a shit about Mother Teresa.
Bad boy.
Oh my god.
His logic, Amy. Like, I feel like this is the point where we can be the older assholes and say, honey, yes, if you want a one night stand forever, then looks are the one and only thing. But they ain't gonna get you anywhere else without kindness or being funny, except and fuck Brad Pitt. Mother Teresa is more famous, dude. I'm surprised he even knew who she was.
Dude, the Mother Teresa comments are hilarious. Okay, like that is like diabolical. But like my thing is this, like, young sir, have you ever, and I think the answer is kind of like no, but like if you look, I was having this conversation with Eric not that long ago. If you look in the world, there are evidence to the contrary of your pseudoscience abounds. Like every heterosexual woman that I know that's in a relationship is hotter than the dude that she's in a relationship with. He like completely mesmerizes these kids, because that's the other funny, interesting thing about like this Looksmaxxing stuff is that it's about the male gaze still. Women have to, like, we do Looksmaxxing, we have to do Looksmaxxing, but even if you're a queer woman, like, Looksmaxxing is still for the male gaze, you know what I mean? Like,
and let's talk about women in this system of his, which he has built a system of ranking so you can put metrics to all of this. And all women are is a proof of your status.
That's right.
So they are your trophy,
That's right.
Or their targets, or their content for you to create. So money, they're part of that stream. So a clout. And, if they reject you, then something's wrong with them. They're shallow, whatever, They're the side piece. So there's not much humanity. There's no humanity. And what do you think you would do, like, if this was our guys, our age? Can you even put yourself, because like
I would not be dating any of them. Not any.
You don't think? At 20?
Absolutely not. I mean, not having any kind of a relationship with them.
I would have come out sooner for sure, just because like I would be like, oh, I mean, I already didn't like care as much as my other gal friends about like getting guys, and I think I would have been like,
oh, I'm not doing this.
No, seems like way too much work. I mean, it's
a horror show, like, the fuck.
Even I was at a fundraiser and talking to a 45-year-old, so eldest millennial, and a 27-year-old, like the eldest Gen Z. And even the Gen Z knew who Clavicular was, but she was like, oh God. And it was crazy. And my 45-year-old, she had no idea what we were talking about, but she still thinks like that's so far removed from her. Like she thinks it's crazy too. And I'm like, you're only 27. Shouldn't you be helping with that or something?
I do just want to take another pause for how we have our fingers on the motherfucking pulse of the culture.
Always. I'm serious. I don't, no offense to my elder millennial over, the 45-year-old, but I don't want to be sitting there.
Yeah, right.
Not knowing, because this is our future, and this is honestly, it's like, why should you care? Why should you care? What if you're a broad out there going through a midlife crisis, okay, and you want a younger man, and you're like, fuck yeah, there's movies about this, we heard about this, and finally, like, in my 50s, and this is what your options are?
Yeah, no.
We can't have that.
No.
We can't have that.
No. 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 No.
But I don't know how this gets turned around without, like, I certainly don't think it's our responsibility.
No, fuck that.
So it's going to have to be good, responsible, healthy, emotionally, that also solve their
I'm not holding
their
my
career issues as well.
I'm holding my breath. Okay, so this is another thing though that I think in a lot of these interviews I've seen him with, he gets like, first of all, we were joking about how he gets up and leaves. He's like stormed out of so many interviews at this point. I think he's super defensive. But there's also what I see is like, and part of what he gets defensive about to me, like you were alluding to earlier, is he's like wants to be considered like a serious name in like Looksmaxxing, like the Looksmaxxing sphere, and he wants to be like treated like that. But also, what I find in the manosphere is like a lot of other kind of lurking variables, like a lot of other like beliefs that typically come along.
Oh, you don't say?
With those crazy, right?
And love men.
Just gotta love men. This is my Adrienne tab on Instagram, by the way.
Yes. Okay, Charlie.
Oh, never thought. No seasoning ever. Because once you start putting sauce, it's like you're one step away from basically being Indian. And I know you are with the fake tan, but like, I don't want to be.
Yep.
So, number one, racism.
I want to talk about that for an hour.
Number two,
So much. I've never seen that.
so much happening in
I have
like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to know, like, was that for shock value? Was that because maybe he actually has IBS and he doesn't want anybody to know, so he comes up with this racist thing for. I want to know where, why, what?
Yes. Why? What does that mean to you? Also, the fake tan comment.
Wait, I didn't even hear that.
Oh, let me.
I was sauced up. And I
was-
need to know, does he really like the sauce and he's just like sacrificing? Because that would be absurd. That's where I call it. Like, I almost, if he really doesn't like it, and
Well, and like, why do you not like Indians? Like,
well,
what-
that's okay if you don't like this, if you don't like the food, if you're,
if you don't like the Indian food, but then he's like,
Yeah.
but like, he's like, once you start using seasonings, then you might as well be like, here, let's go back to the tape. Let's get
his logic, dude.
His logic is crazy. Because, like, what does he even know about Indian people?
He knows that he looks good and that's all that matters.
Oh, never thought. No seasoning ever. Because once you start putting sauce, it's like you're one step away from basically being Indian. And I know you are with the fake tan, but like, I don't want to be.
You really don't like. I think that was 100% for shock value, because again, another element of all of this is like this is kind of why he says he keeps getting in trouble too. Like, he has to create the chaos for the algorithm, for the view.
This is like what you were talking about with the snake eating itself, because
Yeah.
we are just cooked, dude. We're on this
We're cooked.
path of, because we just like need more and more like fucked up shit to keep our attention, and so people are just doing like,
Now you got to top that Indian comment. Now,
Exactly.
and we were already.
Yeah.
So I think that's like honestly all that's about. I mean, there's a guy that keeps coming up on my Twitter that's like a cowboy chud or something, and he goes around. It's not. He just says the N word, and
Are
he
you serious?
it's so just blunt. It not even.
That's all he does.
Yeah, and it will be like doing monkey noises and like calling them apes. Like it's just
Oh my God.
to this point. It's like so extreme that there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere else to go.
I'm
You
like,
guys.
what is it next? Like
Anarchy.
inciting violence, inciting wars, inciting.
To tie into our current situation with these assassination attempts that keep happening, I think they're going to continue from the left because everything is so unfair. I mean, I look at like Luigi Mangione and this most recent guy, similar. liberal ideologies, had a privileged background, were doing well in life, and like kind of snapped because of the absurdity in our systems. And I just don't see why that wouldn't keep happening. Right? And then that little thing with easy access to those guns,
Easy access to the guns.
and they continue
What
to
was
be
Gash
not the best
Patel
shots.
doing? What was Gash Patel doing? Dude, I cannot with him.
I need to know why he was excluded in the manifesto. And why is that not the biggest story about that entire night? That is the strangest thing.
It is really
There's
strange.
no reason for it. Like, you would think if it was like Susie Wiles or
It's
you
so
know,
funny because like it is such shade. You know what I mean? Like
to who?
to Cash Patel.
I don't think so.
Like you're so, but I mean that's how I like to kind of.
Yeah,
Any way to like interpret it to me, you know, is like, so like, oh yeah, you like whatever. You're so fucking insignificant or whatever. I don't know, but
he is. I have started noticing more. Well, it is women and people of color
oh yeah,
that is all. If you really start to notice, unless they're like the Pete Hegseth, but he puts all these people as bowling pins
yep, that's right.
in the way, and so you can like justifiably do these things and then point out like the women and the people of color, but then he just fires them.
That's
I mean,
exactly
Ash
right.
is never gonna get over this SNL skit.
I still haven't watched it yet.
He's just, I mean, even hearing that Aziz Ansari came to do, like his ego is just not gonna really be able to take that, and he can't come out and be like, the fake news mafia SNL.
Dude, I love how butthurt they get. It makes it so much better that they get like so fucking.
I love. Oh, and did you see my story about a personal trainer of mine back in Raleigh? I had
What the fuck? Tell
for
everybody.
6 months. Okay, Craig Long. He was Craig Long Fitness. It was probably like 8 years ago. And I really I was surprised, but I was not surprised when he came up as
It's crazy, dude.
this. I was most surprised though, not that he was arrested, because I think it was just for prostitution, which
You're
I
like,
but I was so surprised that he's this huge freaking MAGA person, and
oh,
I didn't even know.
ew.
How did I not? I mean, I thought I was up on these things.
I mean, it's probably really good for, it would not be good for his business to like be,
So
squat.
out,
Yeah.
but he does show me that MAGA is such a business that I never got the impression, I don't think I would have continued doing personal training with someone for that long that
Right.
I could get MAGA vibes from.
Oh, for sure. I mean, of course,
So I
he was
think this was a new thing.
We arrested. He's 41. Some of you may recognize him. He's an influencer. He also owns Craig Long Fitness in Tampa. He was seeking the services of a prostitute. Did I tell you that he's married?
Did I tell you?
That he's got 125 followers
She of
on
age.
Instagram, 568 followers on TikTok? Well, I'm going to give him some content for his social media today. He was a previous felon who straightened up.
Didn't know.
Really what we want to see in life.
I love this guy.
Now he's an influencer. He moves in big circles, even with the president.
Not
This is a
slam.
photograph with the president and his son not long ago.
Okay, yeah. But
Wait,
why
what happens?
why you just got arrested?
Does he say, what does this guy like? But wasn't it? I thought it was for human trafficking.
Said for like prostitution. I need to read more in it. Honestly, when they said MAGA influencer, I was like, lock them up.
This guy who was like, listen, I'm gonna do a whole routine. I'm gonna write out a whole fucking.
Dude, he does that for every address or arrest. Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking, like, why would this dude move? Because obviously he lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. Why would he move to this sheriff's town who does this all the time? I've seen countless press conferences from this same sheriff. Be like, you know what? Roll the dice. Roll the dice.
He's like a fucking showman, this guy.
Yeah. And he has no fear over dump truck. You know, he just slammed that on the desk.
He said,
boom. He said, do you have that printout of that Craig Long and the president and his son? I need that for the presser. Hey, can you put some weight on it? I really want it to bang down.
He's like, what kind of room do we have in the budget? What kind of price point are we talking about in the budget? Because I want it to have some real heft. It's gonna need to have some real weight when it comes down on that.
Sheriff needs more resources for another one of his pressers.
Dude, that is killing me. That is
He's great.
That is frying me, dude.
I have one more video of what really turned like me off towards him, why you wouldn't want to support this if you're close to him, because I think it kind of shows that he's not going to show up or stand up for anybody but himself ever.
You're close with your sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone told her that she was low tier Becky or subhuman, whatever, like, would you want to beat their ass?
Well, that'd be like sort of a cortisol spike. So the expectation for you to do some dumbass shit and like get into fights all the time, I think is just a culture that definitely needs to be added. Like, I'm high class and I don't do shit like that.
In the same sense as Michael Knowles'
15-year-old sister. To be clear, Adam asked him if another guy called his sister subhuman, would he do anything? And he thinks his reacting to that would just...
It would be a cortisol spike, and you can't have a cortisol spike because then...
It's not cool.
Well, because then it fucks with your looks.
I didn't even think about that. I thought he was just like thinking that's not cool. The layers of this man.
I mean, one thing that you can say about Clavicular is that he's a man of integrity. He's a man of discipline. He's a man that has a priority, a North Star, and every single thing that he does. He's like
consistent.
Michael Jordan, Yeah, he's consistent.
About caring about nothing.
That's like the thing is he would love this like right now, this. This
is absolute 100% gesturing, which means it matters nil and it is a pointless waste of time. It is similar to sports, which he finds completely pointless.
That he like totally finds sports completely pointless.
He didn't even just say he didn't like sports. He said he hated football.
Yes.
So like felt a little bit in there. So again, to recap, we have a young man, which like all young men struggle with shame and insecurity. Right. And then we add into that a little background of bodybuilding parents that kind of show that discipline. Then we have COVID. So he's isolated in a critical time.
Yep.
And while also online, which he self-admits to 14 hours a day during that period. He is injecting steroids at 14. He continues to start to actually get amplified for this. He has no role model except a manosphere to kind of look at and game off of, build his own thing, and then he gets rewarded for it. So why would he stop?
Why would he stop?
Why would he stop? It's paying, baby.
To stop. It's actually like very rational, logical. Like
it is. That's why I don't think he's an asshole, because I think he's ultimately a product of his time that is being honest about his reality, but has had no realistic, healthy role models to actually speak his language. Instead, they just kind of mock him and ask him the wrong questions. And it may be too late. He may have to crash and burn.
I think he's fried. I think he's cooked. I mean, I will say, I think everybody to some extent is a product of their environment. So, you know, like Donald Trump had a real piece of shit dad too, you know what I mean? And or a real piece of shit dad and had a real shit childhood, you know. But at some point, like, bruh, like, you know, I've seen some people say they think he's on the spectrum. I don't really know.
We didn't talk about that. That's a very important piece. He is neurotypical, which he talks about. And I think like, this is also, that's shame for him, and he's, like, developed a way to control it.
Oh, that he's neurodivergent?
Neurodivergent, yeah. But, oh, yeah, not neurotypical. But okay, I'll push back on the product of his time. I do agree to an extent, because it's someone with trauma, like, completely recognize, like, it's not fair, but it's also your adult responsibility. I think his is completely different, because he wasn't, like, traumatized by his family, or I mean, not that we know, but I think he's traumatized by this late stage capitalistic time and his future and the manosphere. And I do think it's substantially worse than it was for us.
I agree. I think that's a great take. I think that's really true.
And the algorithms.
You can't escape the matrix, basically, you know.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, like, it's not fair, I don't think, for me to say, like, what he's doing is wrong. It's what, I don't have any solutions. I don't have any alternatives.
That's a really good, I like this take, because it is like the systems are fracked that are kind of converging to. I have one more.
Yes, please. He's winning versus us, because this
so
system
crazy
is corrupt, that, like, he's winning
crazy.
the corrupt system.
I mean, that to me is what's crazy, is that, like, our system and society is such that he's benefiting from this insanity. Like,
yeah, I think he's highlighting it. It's important, because Andrew Callahan, I think, is a closer, he's certainly closer in age than, like, the Australian 60 Minutes guy, but he's closer to a peer, you know. I
think that's right. And it's interesting, because I almost think that Andrew Callahan is, like, on the other side of is, like, diametrically opposed. You know what? Like, his like, true opposite, almost like his upside down bizarro twin. You know what I mean? In some
Sure,
way.
but also I think he has the ability to see all perspectives.
No, for sure.
Yeah, but I agree. Yeah, he's naturally, he ain't, I mean, look at him.
Well, and they're just like, he doesn't care about, he wants to, like, get to know people and make real connections with people. And
He's our type of guy that we grew up with.
Clavicular is, like, anti all of that. He doesn't care about that, you know? Okay, let me.
Yeah, and I want to make one comment, because I talk a lot about men suck and everything, but there are certain men that are awesome, and I think, like, and complicated themselves as well. And Andrew Callahan,
You're talking
not
about
talking about Clavicular, I'm talking about Andrew.
And I'm talking about Clavicular. Okay, I'm gonna let's play.
Opportunity to do.
I know. I think that's totally fair, and I applaud you for that. But not one, question about Looksmaxxing.
There's been so many questions about Looksmaxxing. I probably asked you about Looksmaxxing like 40 times. I just don't know the specific science. I'm not in the community.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, if you were to ask about, like, something in regards to hair loss, like, there's really nothing.
Yeah, sure. Hair loss.
You see what I mean?
Telling me you're trying to get me
you what to ask. So when you wake up every single morning and you take a look in the mirror, you're 100% satisfied with every single thing. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, dude. All right. Well, I guess that's just, if you want to be completely disingenuous, that's fine with me. I guess there's just no point to continue.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I noticed, I've watched that 3 times now. I noticed a new thing this time.
Tell me more.
I didn't realize it was like at that point that he said, no, there's nothing I want to change about myself, which is a fair, like, he's allowed to say that. I mean, Clavicular could have made a joke about that. Like, to Andrew, but he didn't. That was mean, but he was done. That's when he was done.
See, this is one of those things, like before when you were talking about the clip of like, oh my God, I can talk an hour about this clip. That's how I feel about this clip, right?
Yes.
Because you have like, so many things are happening there. Like,
yes.
Andrew is like, yeah, sure, more or less. Like, you're seeing that either Andrew is like totally trolling him, or Andrew, or it's a combination of these two things. But like the other potential reality is that Andrew cares about and prioritizes other things about himself. Like, he doesn't care as much about what he sees in the mirror because he cares about what he's cultivating through his actions and in his life. And Clavicular, like,
doesn't get that.
He cannot understand that latter could be real. And so he's like, yeah, okay, well, if you're not gonna be like real with me, then there's no point of us going on, right? Like, and then let's unpack that. So,
oh my God,
to me, there's like the one piece of him being like, okay, well, this can't really be real, so he must be trolling me.
Yeah,
because
my
nobody
God,
can really believe that. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yes, and I didn't even think about that. Yes, and Andrew's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I never thought he was trolling him. I thought it was just two different realities.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think you're right that Clavicular did, like, he can't possibly grasp that. And so therefore he's trolling him. I think that's right.
Yeah. I think that's why he reacted that way, is he was like, oh, well, if you're just going to be a troll, then, because he is like, it cannot be real that someone would look in the mirror and think that they look good, especially not this fucking guy, which I also thought was like so mean.
But no, well, he does have self-constraint, because I think, like, if I were to be in a defensive position, like, I would have a hard time not being like, are you fucking kidding me? Also, in Andrew's defense, that's not what the interview is about. That would be insane for him to come in and be like, hey dude, I've had this like weird issue on my butt cheek, and I was hoping this 20-year-old dude with not much education at all that we found would know. Like, why would we ever come to you for medical expert? That's absurd, honey.
That's such a good fucking point, dude.
And that's what he wanted. And it's, I think Andrew was like, hey, dude, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to interview you. Yeah. And it sounds like he did ask about.
He asked so much about the Looksmaxxing, but
yeah,
like.
I thought so too.
He did.
But
not like, personal for him. I'm a serious person. Like, treat me like a serious person.
Seriously boring? He's really boring.
So boring.
All right, here's a little soapbox. Like, women, what are you fucking doing supporting this? Because honestly, like, again, I guess I'm not a fair judge. I don't find him that attractive. Like, his body is kind of weird.
Behavior.
Right. I mean, it's automatically kicked off. Another logic killer for you, bro. Like,
yeah, right, exactly.
Other things make the attractive metric go down, okay? Like, that happens. And why would I don't know. I guess he needs to be dried up, hung out to dry.
But the problem is, we dry him out, and there's
what about all them other boys?
Pop right up.
Well, there's still the problem, yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, I don't have children. I'm not gonna. And this ain't gonna be my problem, but this is our future, folks. So
yeah, so get excited.
I mean, get your kids. Get your
kids.
Wake the fuck up.